Hello. Welcome to Ask Mother. This is session 101 of Ask Mother. So come on in. Let me see where you are. Today is Tuesday, May 17th. In many places, Election Day. Hope you voted. Hello, hello. Hi. Hey, Donovan. Hi, Deborah. Hey, Sister Ada. God bless you all. I'm going to wait till we get more and more people in so that I can give you all my excellent report, and then we'll get into our session for tonight. I know that's right, Julie, I understand. All I can tell you is what the book of Ecclesiastes says, that time and chance happens to all people. All kinds of things happen. And then if you can remember Mr. Clean, when really good people, members of his church, died, and he asked the Lord, he told the Lord, he had to repent for it later, he said, but he told the Lord, there are a lot of other people that could have left. Why these? And we have to learn how to just accept what God allows, and we all have questions that we'll never have the answer to. We just have to learn how to accept, cope, keep our faith intact, and move forward. Hi, Chastity. Hi, Coco.
Auntie Mother.
Hi, Adrian. How's my Topeka son doing? It's good to see you. God bless you. How's the weather in Texas, Coco? It's good to have you all with us on tonight.
Coco is on TBS.
Oh, what channel and when? What day and when?
Put the information in the chat, Coco.
She says hot. Hi, Sister Polly. Praise God. Yeah, okay, Adrian, I hear you. My soul is anchored. Absolutely. Hey, Sister Lita. Oh, so glad to see you all. Come on in, come on in. We're going to be dealing with get a bit of continuation. Hi, Julie, my friend.
As you come in, please share.
Oh, had some frightening experiences, but it turned out really good.
All right. Coco said it was May 6th, episode 4, TBS Rat in the Kitchen. All right.
What time?
You can find it. We can probably find it on TBS.
Okay. Wonderful. It's good having you all. Come on in. And I want to thank you all so much for being with us on this session of Ask Mother. Praise God. Waiting. I'm just kind of waiting to see.
It's on the TBS app.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
TBS app. Rat in the Kitchen. That's Chef Coco. One of my Dallas, Texas daughters. Praise God. Wonderful, wonderful. While you all are coming in, I'll just give you my praise report. Yesterday, one of my brothers one of my biological brothers had a very, very harrowing experience that was tough. He got an injection in the doctor's office, started to feel funny, and drove himself to ER, the hospital. When he got there, he told him he was having difficulty breathing. Hi, Glow. Uh, that he was having difficulty breathing. They asked him his name. He gave them his ID, and that's all he remembers. I'm so grateful that the Lord blessed him and gave the presence of mind to get to the hospital. Any other thing, we would have had a very negative report today. But he lost consciousness. They had to intubate him and put him under. But God hears and answers prayer. I spoke to my brother today. The Lord woke him up. He has presence of mind. He is awake and coming forward. They took him off the life support today, and I'm so happy to have this wonderful praise report. God is good. Thank you for my hearts. Y'all know I love that. That makes me feel like you're hugging me. God is so good. We're grateful tonight. Please like and share as we move forward. God hears and answers prayer. We're so grateful. So grateful. He is good. And so tonight, hi Deloria. Good seeing you with us again on tonight. Chastity. Um, and so we're going to move a little farther in our session that we had on last week. We were blessed with our guest, Bishop Vincent Matthews, and we talked about marriage relationship. And we covered a lot of bases. It was a lot of things that we covered on last week. And so I wanted to just kind of narrow things down on tonight and kind of pick up on some of the things that we talked about on last week. But I'm so happy that you all joined us last week. And we are going to, tonight, we're going to finish up on some of the marriage issues and some things to help improve our marriages and some things to look forward to and some things we're not to look forward to. And then on next week, the Lord say the same. We're going to talk about singles.
Don't worry, Chastity. We got you.
Next week, we're going to really delve into the singles, some of the issues and some of the things that can help in this, just in our daily walk in life. Whether we are single. Hi, Sharon. It's so good to see you. It's Mr. Umstead. God bless you. And yes, we will deal with singles on next week. Hi, Sister Brenda. And so last week we covered, we talked even about the marriage bed. We talked about the importance of getting premarital counseling, and then we talked about attractions, all of that. And we really did talk about marriage being between a male and female. We talked about that last week. But so now let's talk about effective communications. Because you know what? A lot of times people think, oh, it was because of bad financial planning and that my marriage dissolved, or it's because of infidelity, because we grew apart. What causes that? But do you know what? One of the main reasons for dissolution of marriage, even for divorce, and just for bad relations in the marriage, is ineffective communication. Somebody is not saying what they need to say, and some is not hearing what is being said. And I've got quite some of did receive some questions from last week. Um, uh, I have those. Um, we've got some questions that came forth last week, and some of those questions were some of the answers to those questions uh, was effective communication. Somebody's not saying what they need to say, and someone is not hearing what is being said. And so let's just deal with that for a minute. Effective communication is when you actually say what you mean to say, and then the person that you are saying it to is actually listening, is actually hearing what you're saying. And not only are they hearing what you're saying, they are hearing many times what's not said. In effective communication, there is a progression, and so it's important that we learn to say what we mean to say, and then what's the tone? What's the tone of what we are saying it in? How are we communicating? And intonation is so important in effective communication. Intonation meaning the tone in which you say what you say. And so, a lot of times, one of the best things to do, especially when emotions are being revved up, is to wait until you are you calm down before you say what you're saying, because guess what? You cannot pull a word back. And many times it's those words that's spoken in haste, spoken in emotion, in feelings, without waiting, asking for the wisdom of God and waiting for that wisdom to come. A lot of times we say things that really cannot be pulled back. And there's a saying we used to say that sticks and stones may break my bones, but words can never harm me. How many of you know that saying is not true? That's not true. Many people are injured for a lifetime because of what was said and how it was said and the time in which it was said. And so one of the first things to do when we are trying to be effective in our communication is to learn to listen. Listening means I'm not asking you to respond right now. I just want you to hear what I'm saying. Listening means that I'm going to give you my attention. I'm going to look at you. I'm going to make sure that I receive what you are saying. And then I'm going to play back to you. I'm going to paraphrase and give back to you. And you say, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think I hear you saying, and then you say what you repeat what you thought you heard. Many times, because our feelings are so involved, that we hear with feelings instead of hearing with facts. I hope y'all get that. Many times we hear with our feelings. If your feelings are up and you're feeling rejected, you're feeling like you're not being considered, and you're feeling as if that person, your husband or your wife, is out of sync with you, and so feelings take the center stage instead of the effectiveness of your words. And so the first thing in effective communication is that you listen to what is being said. And the very next thing is that you say what you mean to say. So when you're talking in a conversation, you ask for permission. I need to say something and I need you to hear me. When your husband or wife comes to you and say, babe, we need to talk. And sometimes he hate to hear that. Oh Lord, I hate to hear we need to talk. What's going on now? So you say, I have some things that is bothering me. Can we discuss them? And if you ask to discuss, can we discuss a matter? Then that's what you allow. You allow a discussion. You don't allow so that, okay, let me, hold on just a minute. Excuse me.
Yeah.
My throat is trying to close up on me. Excuse me. Excuse me for a minute. What I was saying is that it's very important that if we're going to have a discussion, that means that you're going to talk, then you're going to be quiet. You're going to listen as the other person talk. That then is a discussion. And when that happens, then you want to make sure that your truth is being told. You are giving space. Yeah, excuse me. Okay. All right. I'm back. You want to make sure that you're giving space to the individual to say what they're saying. Don't interrupt. That's why a lot of things don't get adequately discussed, because we interrupt. Give me a pillow. I'm just going to show you. No, I use Neil's toy.
Oh.
Okay. And sometimes, especially if you have a tendency and you know that you have been known to interrupt while a person is just really talking. And I'm talking about good communication, effective communications. To just say something is not good, cannot always be called effective. And so I call this a permission, your permission object. It's a pillow or whatever. And you say, and when I have the pillow, that means I have the floor. I get to say my say. And then when you put that pillow down, then you give space for that other person and you wait until they finish and then you answer. Because guess what? Effective communication, when someone is talking to you and all the while that they are talking, you are formulating a response. You didn't hear. You did not hear. You did not do effective listening. When you do effective listening in the scope of effective communication, you hear what's being said. You give a person the opportunity to get said what they need to say. Not all while they're talking. You just can't hardly wait. Yeah, well, you know, you just like you ready to jump in. It's not going to be effective. And because either that person is going to escalate or they're going to de-escalate and they be quiet. And just because a person be quiet does not mean that they are all right. Now, let me say this too. Winning an argument does not mean you won. And so when we're trying to effectively communicate meaning, we want to continuously build the relationship. And it's very hard. Let me say this, and you're right, Sister Connie. Whew, effective listening. Yeah. Especially with those of us that are talkers. I'm telling you. Yeah, all the while you say, yeah, well, and we want to jump in. If you want to be effective, then wait. And while that person is talking, you try to hear what they are saying. Really listen. Because when you listen effectively, you see, I keep using that word effectively, meaning that that what's being said is actually getting through. And so when you effectively listen to a person, not only do you hear the words, but you hear the tone in which those words are spoken. You hear the feelings of how those words are spoken. And many times when you learn how to effectively listen, you hear what's not being said.
Mm-hmm.
It's and you, when you hit that place in your communication, you can hear what's not being said. You have moved into a place of effectiveness, and that then means that you can cross into really good uh, discussion. Good discussion. I'm going to um, look at some questions here that I got. Um, and let me say this to you. When a person has been single for a long time and they have established their own way of life and they're used to going and coming and doing and saying however they want, then lots and lots of times you have to give that person, and that's with them being very intentional, you have to give that person the opportunity to move from the me and mine to the we and the us. Because when you've been single for a long time, you may have had a relationship and may have gone through a divorce, or you may have had marriage and you have been widowed, or uh, you know, either one of those things, that it takes time for you to move away from this is my space, because my space becomes ours. That does not say that you're not given respect for the need to be alone. And let me give you a little bit of what happened in my marriage when and I had a good marriage. But when we first got married, it was very difficult for me to let my husband in my space, because I may appear to be an extrovert, but let me tell you what, I can be a homebody easy, and I need my own space. And if I'm in my quiet space, I had to just let my husband know that I'm not rejecting him. I just let me breathe. And look at the time of, when you have to work. If both of you are working, just agree. And that's what effective communication will do. You agree. Baby, when I first get home from work, depending on how challenging your job is, you need to breathe. Some people can debrief on the drive home. Others need, when they get home, kick off their shoes, get in some space, and just kind of breathe. Sometimes need 15, 30 minutes to just breathe and debrief within your own self. And when there is a stay-at-home mom, you've heard the chatter of children all day, and you're just craving to hear an adult voice. When your spouse come in the door, you want to throw them that baby or throw them that little child, and you want to hear some adult voice. That person is not ready for that. Give each other space, and it's just a matter of communicating it. It's a matter of giving each other time to debrief. And Connie, that's right. It's you have to find out when is the best time of day to talk.
It's good, Sister Darcel already knows.
And yeah, you can come in and say, "Hi, sweetie. Today was a rough day. Give me about 30 minutes." And if you will do that, you'll be so surprised. You'll be so surprised at the difference that it makes.
Give me some sweet tea first.
Just debrief down and just say it. Don't come in and say, "I don't want to be bothered. Don't say anything to me. I need my space." That's the wrong way. Get it said up front. Just get it said. Say, "Babe, and especially if you are working at a place where you're the person that have to hear a lot of other people's problems." And the work that I did for many years, I heard other folks' problems all the time. Guess who didn't want to hear no problems? Time they got home. I didn't want to hear no problems. And my husband and I agreed to it.
You know what? He never brought his work home.
He decided. He told me that. He told me that. He said, "Babe, when I leave that school," and see, he worked with troubled children for the last 25 years of his career. He worked with children who were institutionalized, who were in either a mental health facility or in a mental health / correctional facility. He taught those kids. And sometimes, and he would tell me, he said, "What I do when I leave work, I leave work." And let me tell you what, that man left work so severely until when he retired, he even drove a different way. He wouldn't even go by the hospital. I'm telling you, folks would ask him to come by and have dinner with them, have lunch with us. He said, "That's okay." He wouldn't do it. When he was through, he was through. And when he walked away from work, he left work at home. Now, some of us, depending on what your job was, you couldn't always leave everything at work. Sometimes you had to bring some stuff home to finish so that you could be ready for, maybe you had a large meeting the next day, or you need a report deadline and all of that. Communicate it. Use this and say, "Babe, I'm on my way home, but I've got some reports to finish. And I know we had planned to do this or that today, but I've got to finish these reports because I have to turn them in tomorrow and I ran a little behind." And that should suffice. And if you are really listening, you already know that that person is in a rushed atmosphere in their mind, not really feeling like a lot of extra stuff piled on them. And so you try to arrange the atmosphere, even at the house, that when they come in, they feel calm. You have them ready to relax. I already picked up something. I ordered something in, already fixed something, and you can eat. That's effective communications. I'm hearing you. And if my husband came home, I'm telling you, I became, last week I said, become a student of your mate. And I hope you all to remember that. Become a student of your mate. What does that mean? You learn them. You learn what they like, and you learn what they don't like. And don't if you know, I don't like you dumping on me time I come in the door. Don't do it. And if you know that I like for you to give me a space when I come in, and don't, everybody I know flunk mind reading. What does that mean? You communicate it. You say that to that person. I'm going to need some debrief time. I need some time, or who's that said it, to decompress. I need that. And then the evening is ours. You had a question? Okay. And so when you become a student of your mate, you learn them. I could tell by the weight of my husband's steps. Because if I was upstairs and he was coming upstairs, if he walked up those steps, doom, 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 I knew. I said he had a bad day. This was a hard day for him. And so by the time he got to where I was, I wanted him to feel glad to be home. And so I tried to stress free the area. And because normally he ran up the steps. Remember?
Mm-hmm.
He ran up the steps.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew that all was cool. And so if you become a student of your mate, you won't get things all, you won't be always on edge and angry with each other. What about, the question here, what about an issue that never gets resolved? You know what you need then? You need help.
Mm-hmm.
You need help. If the two of you cannot resolve it, if you can't resolve it while you're praying, then you need someone else to help you. And as in this day and time with all the stresses of life, do not make yourself feel like if you don't have all the questions and if you can't pray up all the answers, then so be it. No, we have too many avenues and areas through which we can be helped. And so let somebody help you. Help some. And if you've got a nagging issue, sometimes you may have a very belligerent child. And as a teenager, that can be very challenging. But the two of you, before you can really help that child, the two of you, your husband and wife, you all have to get on the same page.
Mm-hmm.
And once you all communicate, this is where we're trying to get that child to. And these are some of the steps that we will try to follow through to get them there. And if you follow those steps, the two of you, because a child will work the end against the middle.
Oh, yeah.
And so it's very important that before you try to even correct a persistent problem, that the two of you effectively communicate what you want the end result to be. Y'all follow me?
Mm-hmm.
And once you do that, you'll find yourself then able to approach a working solution. Well, what happens when that child is grown and still creating problems within the household? That means there's some cords that's got to be broken. That's got to be cut. Because adult children, they're still acting like they are spoiled and entitled children. They need to understand the lay of the land. But you do need to be on the same page. It's very important. And you know what else is important? When you have issues that come up with children or family members, especially if you are in a blended family, it's your children, my children, and you might have ours. Everything has to be on the same playing ground. Your children got to obey the same rules as mine, and the same rule as ours. But it takes effective and continuous communication for that to work in a household. All right. And so, yeah, sometimes when you are just coming together and you feel like, uh, time they come in, they don't want to talk, they don't want to, well, yeah, you need to effectively communicate that. And if that person is asking for space, give it to them. And if you need that space, communicate it. And then relax. And then you say, okay, here I am. But you don't say, I need 15 and 20 minutes. And you go in there and stay 2 hours and come out with your mouth poked out. That's not going to work. That's not going to work. All right. And so, um, the moving from the me and the my, the singular, to the plural is a journey. It's not going to happen in 2 or 3 months. You have to communicate it. You have to keep on communicating it. You have to talk about it. Our Sunday school teacher told us that about her in her marriage. She said she would say to her husband after they got married, she would say, uh, uh, her husband, she would say, that's mine, and this is my space, and this is my so and so, and this is my so and so, and that's yours over there. This is mine, this is yours. And she said he put up with it for a while, and then he said we need to talk, and he sat down and said we're in this together. What's mine is yours, and what's yours is mine, and what's yours
What's
is
mine is yours, and what's yours is mine.
In other words, anything that's here, there's a way we say
What's
it.
mine
Though.
is mine, and what's yours is mine.
Yeah. We're
What's
in
mine
this
is mine.
together. What's mine is mine, and what's yours is mine, and what's yours is yours, and what's well, y'all know. I hope y'all understand what I'm trying to say. I got it
got you
all
all
mixed up.
up.
But it's ours. Move from the me and the mine to the us and the we. And once we move there, then you become much more effective in your communication and much more peaceable and loving in your relationship. Now, I'm going to say this to you too. Once you get married, if you really, I see you, Shelly. You're going to do better tomorrow. Yeah, that's
Tomorrow.
good. But don't be like, the song is a diet song that says, tomorrow, tomorrow, I'm starting my diet tomorrow. And then they stop and say, how come tomorrow never comes? Okay, so if you say you're going to do better tomorrow, actually, we have to be intentional if we're going to be effective in our communication. And sometimes you got to do start overs all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So, babe, I said I was going to do it like this, and I keep slipping back to my old behavior. Now, I'll tell you something that happened to me. I'm an evangelist, so I'm a talker, and I say things, and I'm instructive, and I always had supervisory jobs, and I'm just, you're giving instructions. And so one time, my husband and I were in a disagreement, and I was telling him, yeah, I mean, I was telling him, and da 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 da. I mean, I was really telling him, and he was sitting there, he was going like this, he's looking around, and I said, it just got on my nerves. I said, "What are you looking for?" He said, "I'm looking for that boy you talking to." Man, did that get my attention? I said, "Oh, baby, I am so sorry." And he said to me, "Babe, you can say whatever you need to say to me, but tone is important." And I'm telling you, from that day, that's what I'm talking about, becoming a student. I knew that he wasn't going to take that he didn't like that. It was going to put us on the wrong vibe. And so I said, okay. And from then, when I feel like I wanted to jump into my telling mode, I would remember. And the Lord blessed me to be able to calm my voice down and to get said some things, and I would get the answer I was looking for many times because I was able to modify my tone, my facial expressions, and be real sweet. And sometimes with a bitter issue, was able to communicate it in a calm and sweet way that worked out to make
Effective.
our very effectively. And so it's important that we pay attention. But let me say one more thing. And oh yeah, we are almost out of time. Um, but let me say this: after you get married and you are moving from the me and the mine to the us, um, private phone calls, phone calls, somebody call you, say, oh, and every time that person call, you got to jump up and leave the room. You're going to create suspicions. You don't do that. You're going to create suspicions. Um, and you need to say, whoever that is calling you, and you got to jump up and leave. You need to say to your husband or to your wife, this is so and so, and this is what uh, I need to talk to them about this or that. Now, they might give you leave, but if that happens all the time, you're going to create suspicions. And those are things that you have to watch out for. All right? And then just effectively talk to each other. Say the things that bother you. And especially the first 5 years of marriage are the hardest. At least that's what the statistics say. And you know when the highest incidence of divorce is in marriages is the first 18 months. You don't know nothing about each other in 18 months hardly. You're not giving yourself a chance. And the first 5 years, you really start to mesh together, really start to learn each other, learn what's valuable from one to the other. One, learn what how you all can approach your goals together. Even sit down and talk about those things. And so give the relationship time, give it space, and give it effectiveness in what you say. And then when somebody is talking to you, when your spouse is talking to you, clear your mind so you can hear what they're saying instead of sitting there saying, I'm going to tell them this, I'm going to say this, I'm going to say that. And you missed so much while you are formulating how you're going to respond. All right? Responding and reacting are two different things. You know the difference? When you react, you don't give a space to think. You have to think. When you think, then you speak. That's actually being responsive. But if you rattle off, time you are hit, time it comes, you are reacting, and many times you're going to escalate the negative. And if you've got a loud voice and you sound like you're fussing when you're not,
Annoying.
you need to communicate that. Because listen, my mother raised 10 of us, and none of us remember her raising her voice at us. And so I was raised with someone that was really, she communicated in a quiet tone, but she controlled us with her eyes. She could look at you and make you feel like, oh, Jesus, what did I do? My husband, all of the years that I knew him and we were married, he never raised his voice. Lord, do you remember your daddy ever raising his voice?
No.
He didn't raise his voice. He never called me out of my name, anything like that. And so if you're talking to me and you in an aggressive, booming voice, guess what's going to happen to that person that's used to quiet and calm communication? That person's going to shut down. And they might misread because of the tone and the volume. And those are things that have to be communicated as well. Yes, it's very important to give each other undivided attention And I'm so happy to be able to share this time with you all. Um, I am overtime. We are, oh, and the good news I was going to tell you, and I'm still so very delighted that the Lord blessed me to talk to my brother today. He is out of danger and out of trouble, and we're so glad about that. God, give us help so that we can be careful in how and what we say. Lord, help us to be effective communicators. Help us, oh God, and give us what we need. Help us to hear, to really learn to listen, and help us to remember, God, that feelings can be such an enemy to our soul and also an enemy to effective communications. Lord, would you help us so that we can grow up in you and our relationship can become much more productive and effective. God bless you. Yeah. Don't forget the Midnight Cry. Those of you that have been on, we appreciate you coming. God bless you.
And thank you, everybody, for joining in. Join us next week, Tuesday, at 6 o'clock p.m., session 102. Thank you.
And we will be talking and giving singles some great information.
I didn't know you was praying. You started talking and then you said amen.
I was looking.
Here we go again. Sorry, y'all.